You boys be quiet down there!
Welcome back to PC-98 Paradise, the series where we take a close look at classic games for the NEC PC-98, the most popular Japanese PC series of the early 1990s. We're now up to the 5th game in the Farland Story series, called Daichi no Kizuna, which means connection or bond of the earth. In previous videos I've mentioned this is the first game in the series I ever played on the PC-98, way back in the mid-aughts. Why this one first? Simply because it was the first I happened to pick up when I started collecting PC-98 games. And since it was my first on the system, I'm inevitably a bit biased when it comes to this one. I remember enjoying it, especially the music, but I'm sure there's plenty about it I don't remember. So let's find out how well this one holds up. Much like the previous games, inside there's a small poster and a black and white manual. There's an arranged soundtrack CD, which can be used as the game's BGM if you have a CD-ROM drive. And finally, 6 floppy disks. The installer is much the same as the previous games. We'll start the game by running fsm.bat. It goes straight to the title screen, so no opening sequence this time, I guess? Copy protection is the serial code again, and we're taken right into the story. So in the 4th one, you may remember the MacGuffin was a flying superweapon called the Silver Wings that was built by an ancient civilization. And the 5th one actually takes place in that ancient civilization, the airborne kingdom of Saldis. So for this one, we're actually going back in time chronologically. We take command of the kingdom's princess named Kushina? Kushina? Warrior princess? Whatever. We open with a scene of her speaking with her older brother, who is tragically born with a physical condition that restricts his movement to the inside of the castle. Today is the day of the princess's engagement. She's being forced to marry a prince from a nearby kingdom who she's never met.
I don't love him.
I'm sorry, Vespa. He's the last prince left in the galaxy.
What? You don't want to marry him, princess? Well, maybe you'd like to marry Count Gelda instead. Greetings, princess. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am the Count Gelda. I want you to be my wife. Come on, look at him. This guy is obviously a vampire. He's a count and everything. But in all seriousness, though this game does have vampires in it, this guy doesn't turn out to be one. It's pretty needless to say that the princess doesn't want to marry this guy either, and she attempts to run away from the castle. On the way out, she runs into this guy who she mistakes for a castle guard sent looking for her, but it's quickly revealed that he's actually the first guy she was supposed to marry, Prince Shaycliffe, or Shay for short. But there's no time for introductions. The castle is being attacked by monsters sent by Count Gelda. Guess someone really can't handle rejection. So the first stage is an escort mission with the retainer Paul, where we have to escape the castle. We have 2 lead protagonists, Prince Shay, who is a normal attacker, and the princess, who is a healer as well as a martial artist. We'll get game over in this one only if both of these 2 main characters go down. At the end of the stage, Paul forces the 2 lovebirds through the doorway to the surface world while he makes his last stand. Ah, I see. The opening sequence comes after the first stage. I kind of remember that now. The opening has English spellings for all the main characters, so I guess we'll call her Kushna, and let's try not to dwell on the fact that her name has Kush in it, okay? This is probably the best Farland Story opening sequence yet, with excellent music, just like the rest of this game. Are you alright? Oh, Shake! Shake! It's Shay. The Shake line is actually a nice touch, reinforcing the fact that they don't know each other very well. Kushna is quick to get angry with Shay throughout the game, and Shay is just way too nice for his own good. This romantic scene is quickly interrupted though by our next main character, a siren named Winia. they ask if she will accompany them to Shay's father's castle, and her eyes light up at the promise of royal treasure and riches as a reward. Winia is an enterprising young lady who loves money and speaks in the Kansai dialect. It's an anime character trope. So we move on, and since we have a siren in the party, we can use her to grant an extra turn to the spent characters. At Shay's castle, we learn that Count Gelda is after 4 elemental spirit orbs, which together seal the Bond of the Earth, which is the namesake of the game. This Bond of the Earth is also what seals the Silver Wings, the namesake of the previous game. The goal for the first half of the game will be finding these 4 orbs before Gelda does. The king asks Winia if she will please continue to accompany Shay and Kushna to protect them, and it is promised that her reward will be even larger when she finally gets it. I feel kinda sorry for Winia. She gets dragged along for the whole game and doesn't really get much of anything in the end. They're also joined by... What the hell? It's Narcissus from the 3rd game. Wait, no? This is a guy named Bacchus. That's weird. The character designs look really similar to me. No relation, I guess. Character designer Kazue Yamamoto just ran out of new designs, it seems. Bacchus appears to be some sort of royal bodyguard and childhood mentor of Shay's. He's also one of the main characters of the game. We also meet his girlfriend.
Raphael.
It's actually pronounced Rafal, but the English spelling sure looks like Raphael. Anyway, she had a spell put on her by an actual vampire, and we have to rescue her from her long slumber. She's presented as sort of a fair princess in need of rescue, but when she awakens, it turns out she's a strong sword fighter with a tough attitude to match. One more thing I want to mention about her is that after her class change later in the game, she becomes a sword dancer, which is also the name of another TGL series. When she attacks, she ends up on the opposite side of the enemy, which I guess is because she dances around her opponents. Next, there's Shay's younger brother, Aaron, who has been transformed into a horse. We spend a couple of stages trying to get him to a hot spring which can grant animals the ability to talk, and he becomes a talking horse for a little while.
That's fine. Now do me a favor, will you?
Anything. What?
Only shortly afterward, he gets transformed back into a human. Well, that was pointless. We could have skipped the whole talking horse step and just went straight to human, but I guess they wanted an excuse to add a few extra stages to the game. Lastly, there's also Norse, who is a Lamia, a half snake, half human, who also looks a lot like a Japanese shrine maiden. She turns out to be a very useful long-range attacker and second healer for the party. It's amazing that every single game in the series so far, including this one, has managed to have at least some subtle changes to the system. This one gets rid of move and attack from the main menu entirely, and replaces them with a single command called Actions. Select it and you can immediately see via icons everything that can be attacked or healed from your current position, as well as everywhere you can move to. After a move, you can again see where you can attack or heal, and you can also just click on the character to do nothing from the new position and confirm the move. This makes so much sense, I have to wonder why they didn't just make it this way in the first place. Then again, this was the first one I played on PC-98, so I'm biased. I guess maybe I vaguely remembered the game working this way in the first one I played, so that might be why it just feels right to me. There's also an item that allows one of the characters to summon sort of a spirit drone to attack enemies for you, and a few characters get multi-enemy area attacks near the end of the game. This requires charging for one turn before it can be done, making it pretty hard to execute right when you need it. But this is still a really cool addition that I want to try to use more if it's still in the next game. We've talked about whiskey in every one of these videos so far, but Farland Story also has tequila. In addition to reviving a character, tequila restores a little HP. Hope they also brought along some limes and salt. So after the first 20 stages, the party finds all 4 of the MacGuffins. I mean the elemental orbs that seal the bond of the earth, only to have them all stolen immediately by the bad guys. That's not much of a surprise, but let's put a spoiler warning before going any further. It's revealed that Kushna's older brother is one of the baddies. He sold his soul to the dark side in order to gain the ability to move his body freely and even fight. It looks like the party is in a serious pinch in this scene, but then they're saved by the first appearance of a classic Farland Story character since the third one. It's Lucida, Queen of the Elves, looking as young as ever. This game apparently takes place long after the third one, and Ark is long dead, but as in most Tolkien-style fantasy, the elves in this world live for a very long time. Lucida becomes a party member for the rest of the game. Next, there's a cool cutscene where the bad guys use the orbs to break the bond of the Earth, causing an earthquake down on the surface world, where the good guys are currently located. Shay's father dies in the quake, and a bump on Shay's head causes him to lose his headband, revealing an X-shaped scar. Then Kushna finally remembers how she once met Shay as a child. He saved her from an ogre, but sustained an injury in the process, leaving the scar. In the second half of the game, the party has to find a way back to Kushna's home, the airborne kingdom of Saldis, in order to stop the evil ambitions of her brother and Count Gelda. Ark's sword, the Godslayer, is shown briefly in this one, but you never actually get to use it. Kushna's brother takes it. You fight and defeat him, and he comes to his senses and eventually sacrifices himself to save everyone in the end. The end boss is Count Gelda, who has been made a demigod by the gods of darkness. Interestingly, the kingdom's super weapon, the Silver Wings, never actually makes an appearance like it did in the previous game. In the ending, Bacchus and Rafal are married and have a child, and surprisingly, Shay and Kushna are not, or at least not yet. Shay has become the king of his father's kingdom, and the two of them plan to marry, officially making Kushna queen. As for Kushna's former kingdom of Saldis, it fell in a lake, setting things up for the fourth game where we explored the underwater ruins of the kingdom. Now I can appreciate the greater context of the story, having played the previous one first. The first time around, I had no idea this had anything to do with the other games. The characters don't look as crazy or unique as those in the fourth. There's no talking duck or anything, but the dialogue is still just as funny, and the two main characters are much less bland in my opinion. Shay is way too good-natured, and Kushna is unnecessarily mean to him, but they still have enough depth to them to keep them interesting. The idea that they were engaged to be married by their parents and only now get a chance to know each other during the adventure is a good basis for romantic tension throughout the game. The supporting cast has plenty of personality as well. But one aspect I can't commend enough in this one is the soundtrack. It's the one part of the game that has remained permanently stuck in my head over the decades, as music has a tendency to do. So obviously, I'm biased here, but I think this is the first time real effort was put into the soundtrack since the second one. The sound credits are the same as in the previous game, with the addition of Tomoo Kasahara, an arranger and composer who later worked a lot in the Japanese pop music industry, including writing and arranging one song that I still hear occasionally played around Tokyo, even to this day, every year around the month of December. Although I admit I'm biased, tell me, does the main field BGM, titled Setting Out on Journey, not sound like the quintessential BGM for setting out on a journey? And even some of the stranger sounding tunes in this one really do work, in my opinion. Effort was clearly made to ensure that every track sounds pleasant, even the minor ones for the shops and story parts. Personally, all I really need is the stereo FM version of the soundtrack you've been hearing throughout this video, but you might prefer the MIDI version if that's more your thing. The CD arrangements are unfortunately pretty bland as always, but you can judge for yourself, cause we're gonna do the thing again. I haven't heard the music in the 2 remaining Farland Story games for PC-98, but I've read some opinions that the 5th game is basically the musical peak of the series, so I'm afraid it might be all downhill from here. Even if the music in the next 2 games somehow turns out to be amazing, however, it isn't likely it will stick in my head as much as the 5th game has, since I played it much earlier. I'm biased. Again, the only port of the game was the MS-DOS version, released in some regions in Asia. So now let's ask the same question I've asked in all of these videos. Is this one the best of the Farland series yet? So far we're 4 for 4. Every game is improved upon and gone beyond the quality of the previous one. I have one major issue with the 5th game. It is the longest one yet, and demands a serious amount of your time in order to finish it. To the best of my recollection, it took me months of on and off playing in order to finish it the first time, and it was a similar experience again this time. Although it has exactly 40 stages, just like the previous 2 games, many of those in the previous 2 were really short. Here you get 40 very long stages. It all becomes a bit much and can get really old if you play it all at once. So I used this one as my occasional chill out game while I worked on other games and edited other videos. If you don't mind the game's length though, everything else here is great. The characters and graphics are easily some of the best of the series. Top that off with the soundtrack, and I have a really hard time not calling this one the best one. So I'll give it the title, though keep in mind, I'm biased. I'll also add a huge asterisk that this game asks for a lot of your precious time. 2 playthroughs in my lifetime was probably more than any person should ever give it. But in any case, the game will always be a regular for me, but from now on, probably just for the sound test. Thanks for watching this episode of PC-98 Paradise. It was supported by the folks displayed on your screen. With your continued support, hopefully I can cover the remaining 2 Farland Story games on the PC-98 in the not-so-distant future, so stay tuned until then. This has been Mr. Jakes for Basement Brothers.